Welcome to Only One You Need Radio. We're not the only one you need. You are. We just show you how to get out of your own way. With your host, speaker, author, business coach, and consultant, David Dubé.
Welcome to Only One You Need Radio. It's your host, Dave Dubé. So excited to have you here with me today. In this episode, my friend, we are going to talk about communication. Your personal brand when it comes to communication. You might not think of yourself as a brand, but for everyone who knows you, they know the type of person you are, and they also know how you communicate in certain situations. And it's interesting how we as individuals go about communicating in different situations, albeit we're the same person. But the situation has changed, and so therefore our communication type has changed as well. And this is something that I feel that most people do but don't realize they do. And I say that because of observations that I personally have in my life and have seen with a lot of people around me. And I find it to be very intriguing. Now, I'm also guilty of some of these things as well. But when you understand this process and the things to be aware of when it comes to communication, we can begin to systematically remove our own roadblocks that are preventing us from having proper communication. And to me, that's one of the most vitally important things to doing in improving the quality of our life. Because in the last episode, I talk about, the quality of our life is literally directly impacted by the quality of our communication skills. So the better we are at communicating, the better the quality of our life can be. And the reason is because when you have relationships where there are no barriers between you and the person you're communicating with, or at least those barriers are greatly reduced, then when communication can flow, understanding takes place. And when understanding takes place, there's no reason to have arguments. There's no reason to have fights. And this is true not just of relationships between people, but relationships also between cultures and communities and countries, where the reason that there's war is for no other reason than a lack of understanding of something. And when we can remove barriers of understanding, we can get to the truth of a situation. And then that understanding becomes a transparency between us and them. And when that occurs, then relationships are healed, and they're healed dang near instantly. The interesting thing is when information is kept from people, then tensions rise. And when tensions rise, the thing that we instantly go to is fear and anger. And then we begin to attack because we're making assumptions and out of information that we don't have all the information. And so we create assumptions on why things are going on. And based on those assumptions, we then go to attack. Now, this is true not only of, cultures and, countries, but this is true of personal relationships. So those who constantly create strife, those who are constantly doing this that we're talking about, they feel that the only way to appease themselves is through strife and through control. And they don't truly know what it's like to love, to be loved, to have love, and to feel love. They're disassociated with their emotions, so much so that to them, love is control. And this is a huge, huge thing that, and it's so interesting. You can see this in certain individuals who've only been taught love by abusive people, which isn't real love. And this is also true of, you can also see this with countries and certain cultures that do this constantly. And it's because it's a learned thing. You have to know this. This has to be something that's taught to you. This isn't something that's done for any other reason than it's taught. And it's crazy to me that this is something more people don't realize. Something's being kept from you when this is the case, right? Not enough information is being dispensed when this is happening. And so it blows my mind that people don't realize this stuff more often and decide to investigate further. What's being kept from you? Now, in talking about in a broader sense, when you're watching nations go at each other in this way, there's a lot of information that's not being dispensed. And therefore, you're not going to know that truth. You have to dig deep to find it. When it comes to an individual doing this, it's easier to cut through the bullshit. It's easier to cut through it because they're there. They're in front of you. And so when that's the case, you have to realize that it's a systemic issue that they learned. They learned it through their father, or through their mother, or through some family dynamic. And because of that, they need additional help to get to the true reason for their acting out in this way, and the reason that they're creating strife. They're not good enough. There's an emotional underlying state that hasn't been penetrated yet. And when that's penetrated, understanding can happen near instantaneously. And now they may fight it because they don't know that feeling, and that feeling is so foreign to them that it's going to hurt right away, and it's going to hurt, every person's different. And so whatever their truth is, it may take them a while to be okay with that. But that's really what this comes down to, is knowing that those layers are there, and then how to peel those layers back so it's not in your face. Now, one of the things that this, to me, why this is so important is because we don't have to deal with this kind of bullshit in our lives anymore. And if you know what I just shared with you, and if you know this is this reality that I'm talking about, of how people act and react and that look for strife constantly, we don't have to deal with this anymore. Now that you know it, you don't ever, this has to be something that you can squash fast. And if you can't do it, you need to find help so it can get done. The more of this we can put an end to on an individual basis, the more of this on a group basis will go away as well. And when we can come at this in a way where we all want understanding, no one wants to go to war, but when it's all you know, it's all you'll do. Okay? So when we begin to remove all of this stuff, we can change the world, and we can change it fast. Because, I mean, no one wants to just go away. I don't. No one comes here not to live. But we learn through years of being told how society is, that it's just the way it is. And then we cope by doing stupid things. Not only do we cope by doing stupid things, but we also cope by doing nothing at all, by not advancing our lives, not advancing who we are. And when we decide not to advance ourselves, when we plateau and decide that we're not valuable enough to be that person that we wanted to be when we're growing up, and that we can't be that because society says it's wrong, or that I'll never live up to it, or whatever belief we tell ourselves. It's a bunch of bullshit. You deserve better. We all deserve better. In fact, when we reduce these barriers that prevent us from understanding each other, not only do we achieve more in a shorter period of time, but we also begin to help release people from the chains that have bound them for years and years and years and years. And when we do that, the process of unlocking the potential for humanity becomes exponential. This, to me, is more important than than literally anything else. I don't know. I can't. Communication is everything. We do it all the time. Whether you open your mouth or you don't open your mouth, you're communicating something. And it's crazy to me to think that you can be in one place and act one way and then go to another and act a different way. Whether it's because your boss intimidates you, your mother intimidates you, your father, your grandfather, whatever, they intimidate you from not being who you were meant to be. But when you realize that it's just an illusion and that it's just a crock of crap, that you're allowing their power in some way to be held over you, that you can't be the person you know you want to be, it can go away. And when it goes away and you can communicate appropriately in the right way, life will begin to change for you. Everything will change as soon as you decide that you're worthy of that change. That not only you are worthy of it, but greater than that, the world is worthy of it. The world is worthy of that message, of whatever it is that you want to share, of whatever it is that you have inside of you that you've been holding back from letting other people be a part of. To me, it's crazy. It literally is. It's a crazy thing that we do to ourselves in holding ourselves back from being who we are meant to be. And it begins with communication. You do it no matter what you say or what you do. You are always communicating. If you have not already, subscribe. If you're on iTunes, leave feedback, please. And subscribe. If you're on YouTube, hit the notification button and become subscribed. This is life-changing information. It is. This is life-changing. Use this. There's going to be more of this coming out. I have so much more to talk about when it comes to communication. I truly do. Remove the barriers that hold you back, that bind you. Remove the barriers that bind other people. In the next episode, I'm going to be talking about the process of communication, the ultimate process of communication. So vitally important. It happens whether or not you think about it. It's always there, but there's something more to it that you need to know. And I want to share that with you. So I'm super excited about that. Make sure you tune in, subscribe. I'm David Dubé with Only When You Need Radio. It's time that you be the person you're meant to be. Believe in all that you're capable of and become more than you thought possible. I look forward to catching you on the next episode. Take care.